Hey, legends. Welcome back to the Real Raw Relatable podcast. I hope you're well and enjoying your day. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my very cute doggies just there sleeping. So very cute. I've had a ripper start to today. I went to my friend's gym, Chris Cannon Life Hub in Moorabbin in Melbourne, and absolutely love that. That's our Saturday ritual. Start off strong and sweaty. And then Steve and I went out for breakfast, which was very cute. There was this gorgeous little girl she was about one, sitting next to me, and she just kept waving at me. But then she became so overwhelmed that she started crying, but then was continuing to wave. It was absolutely adorable. Anyway, there's a topic that I want to bring to you today, which I think is going to be very relatable. But before I do, there is an opportunity, or there is something that I want to share with you, which gives you an opportunity to support me and this podcast. So there's about 10,000 of you every week who download the episodes or listen to the episodes, for which I am incredibly grateful for. This podcast has been running for nearly 4 years. And what started as a platform where I wanted to come here and share my heart. That was the intention. I want to share my heart on the world stage, and my next best step was to create a podcast called Real Raw Relatable. And through your messages, through your DMs and your reviews on the podcast, you really have shared with me how life-changing it has been for you as we've been in a relationship. However long you've been listening to this, I've been in your world and you've been in mine. So anyway, the opportunity to support me is down in the show notes. You can extend a small donation or a small offering, which will continue to help me produce great content. It does help with production costs. Obviously, it's not compulsory. But it is there. If you do love this podcast, if you do chime into it every week, if it is part of your therapy, your life therapy, I would be really grateful if you would extend your gratitude and love through a small offering and through a small donation, if you feel inclined to do so, if you feel comfortable to do so. So that's some way that you can help me help this podcast continue to grow it and support it. So I just thought I'd share that with you up front. That will be in the show notes from here on, and you can choose to do it randomly. You can choose to do it consistently. I will leave that to you, or you can choose to do it not at all and still have me in your earballs every week. But yeah, that would mean a lot to me. On the note of that, how I spoke about, I had an intention, an end result, that I wanted to share my heart's message on the world stage. And my next best step was to create a podcast. I want to talk about that today, because I'm also at a time in my life right now where, let's bring it back last year. And if you've listened to my podcast last year, you will know that I was on a journey of pulling things back and changing things up, creating more space and time, and not busying myself with so many little things, and creating space in my life, one, to enjoy my life, but also two, to welcome in just some more juicy opportunities. So as a result of that was my next best step. So again, at the start of last year, I wrote out everything that I had planned to do, and I stood back, and my entire being just said, fucking no chance. We're not doing that. That looks busy. That looks hectic. I don't like the word hectic. I don't want to tap into the energy of hecticness. It's just not my jam. So I was like, well, fucking wicked. What is my next best step then? And at that point in my life, my next best step was to pull back on one-on-one coaching. I still saw a few clients throughout the year, which I still do now. I just don't see anywhere near the extent that I was before. So I am, people will reach out to me and I will choose whether I will work with them or not. Typically, I tend to work with my previous clients who have done my body of work. But that was one of my next best steps, to reduce the amount of clients. And that took it took a little while. It was even happening the year before that in 2021. What are we year? Yeah, because we're 2023 now. So 2021 was sort of the year of like really consolidating and bringing the numbers down. 2022 was like, okay, let's do this, and this. And then still my being, that truth detector inside of me just said, no, we're still not a fan of this. And I guess it's interesting because I really do, in my persona and in my ego, have the drive to constantly do. Being for me has been my greatest practice and my greatest teacher and my greatest challenge and resistance. Again, if you've been listening to the podcast, you will know about that in depth. So anyway, as a result of that next best step, yes, I created more space in my life. It gave me room to tap into different aspects of myself. It gave me room to see other areas of my life. I was like, fuck, I've foregone that. I have like left that alone and not tapped into it for a really long time. One being my femininity, one being intimacy with Steve, and really looking at that, and then the trauma that then comes with looking to heal that. Which I'm on that journey now. Making that choice really did allow for wonderful things to come to fruition. And all at the same time, I'm constantly getting messages or emails or DMs about collaborating. And, often my answer is no, than it is a yes, because I prefer to collaborate with less brands and only a few brands than like every brand and be like, hey, have you seen this remote control that I'm going to be selling you today? Hey, have you seen this journal that I'm going to be promoting and selling to you today? Like, that's just not my style. As a result of that, I do, I guess, reject money coming into my world. But again, that truth detector inside is just like, nah, this isn't aligned. And when I do things out of alignment, it just feels fucking disgusting now. Whereas before, back in the day, I'd be like, man, what's out of alignment? I have no idea what that even means. Anyway, let's get to the point. Now I'm in a position where, because I have said no to quite a lot of smaller opportunities, and I have reduced my clientele, I'm at a position now where I'm like, okay, cool. I've created space. I've got some healings that are underway that have got more space in my life to be looked at. Now I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, cool. We need to start making more money. We need to start topping up what was basically not being topped up before. And I've done a really good job at keeping everything afloat, not overspending, but also not being a super tight ass. But during that period of time, certainly from the years of growth that I had, financial growth in my business, it hasn't been like that for the last 12 months, even 18 months. So I'm in a position now where I'm like, okay, I now need to make the next best step. And this is the point that I want to make today. And inside of the Legends, my coaching program, this is a message that is really instilled into them when we do module, I think it's module 5, when you learn about true end results and learn how to live from your heart. Our next best step is not the next perfect step that is going to give us the pinnacle of the mountain result. The next best step is the step that is best for you at that moment in time, that is in alignment and congruency to your values and into your truth. And so last year, at that time in my life, I was tired. I was really tired of the way that I had been working in 2020 and parts of 2021. I was really tired. I was exhausted. I was in my masculine. There's no space for my feminine. Whenever I had time to myself, I would shame myself for it and make myself feel terribly bad. So there was that. So last year, when I went to create all these big plans again, and, in there, I was like, oh, cool, let's run a retreat. Let's run a 3-day program. Let's do this now that COVID's over. And that truth barometer my core values. And what was really being asked of me was, no, not now. This is a period of greater rest, of restoration, of just letting yourself be. This is my 9th year of business now, and it has been full on. It has been, hustle and grow and hectic, especially in the beginning. And I hated that. But, parts of it were probably necessary. I needed to pay rent and I needed to eat and all those types of things. It also showed me just how much I wanted this, and it made me look at long-term gratification rather than always seeking short-term gratification, which then taught me more patience. And I didn't have to do everything in one fucking year. And if I didn't, then, I'm a failure and I'm a loser, So last year, at that time in my life, it was time to make the next best step to create space. And so there I did. Now that space has brought me even closer to myself, strengthened my authentic essence and strengthened my communication with my intuition and my body, which is beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, I feel like that really juicy period is, I'm not going to say that it's over, but in terms of that amount of space, I'm like, I don't feel like I need to keep going at it like that. I actually feel ready to get juicy and to, and I'm not going to use these words, but I'm just going to use it in this moment. Not, I don't want to now grind and then hustle and be like and all over the place. And then I have to have another year off, what I want is this beautiful blend of continuing to hold space for myself and then also simultaneously get amongst it again, and that is now my next best step. So let's just even peel this back another layer. To the ego, this is going to look like all these steps are wrong. To the ego, to my ego, I'll speak personally, the choice that I made back then is now was the wrong choice for me now. Because to my ego, it's like, oh, well, you didn't make any money. And because you didn't make any money, you have to work doubly as hard now to get all of that back. You're an idiot. You're a loser. You should never listen to your truth. You should never do that again. You just have to keep working hard. And so this is the thing. The ego wants to know the next perfect step, the next right, in that sort of energy, right, wrong step. And so therefore it often doesn't make a step because it becomes indecisive. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want anything to fuck up. I don't want anything to go bad. I don't want, I don't want. And so therefore nothing changes. And so therefore we stay stuck, and then we stay in the same position, and then we get frustrated with ourselves. Right. So to the ego, it wants the next perfect step. And to the way that I'm doing my life, my ego thinks it's wrong. My ego thinks it's bad. But to my core, it says, that's all cool. No worries. We will act in favor of your greatest good that is in alignment with your values, that is in alignment with your truth and your authentic essence. And we will make the next best step that is right for that time. So like I said, now I'm like, cool, let's reach out to corporates and companies and speak. There's so much more in me that I want to share. And how beautiful that year and a bit, not off because I was still obviously active, but certainly less active than I've been. There's so much gold that I can share with that. And the difficulty with how to navigate thoughts when you do such things, because I know a lot of people are burnt out there, and they won't let themselves take that space because of what the ego says. taking space is bad, taking time off is wrong, taking time off means you're lazy, or whatever you're going to make it mean. So it's quite tricky, right? Because we're constantly dealing with this part of us that wants the next perfect step. And then there's another part of us that says the next best step that is right for this time and moment in your life. One needs to have certainty. The other says, this is good for now. This is good for now. And it is. It's really that one step in front of the other into, cool. That kind of feels a bit like the unknown. I don't know what might happen when I took my time back and created more space. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know that my whole journey was going to become about reclaiming more of my feminine essence and dealing with body trauma and intimacy stuff and having to go deep with that. Like, I didn't know that was going to come about, but it was there. And that's the journey that I guess I'm prepared to take. And maybe you are too, or maybe you want to, but you're scared, where you do trust in something greater than this need for certainty, than this need for the perfect step. And when we trust that, when we're in alignment with that, when we're in a deeper relationship with it, we really do create some of the most magical experiences for ourselves, adventurous experiences for ourselves, storytelling experiences that we can share with others. I believe it enriches us, gives us greater depth, relatability, and wisdom to share, as opposed to, I'm afraid to make a wrong choice or decision here, so I'm just not going to make anything at all. And then you keep being stuck in the same thing, So I really wanted to share this message with you because it's something that I absolutely live and practice myself. It's something that I teach my clients in the legends. And when they get it, it's really beautiful. I remember on our last catch up, so many of them were really letting it land. Wow, it really is about the next best step, not the next perfect step. And it's just so true. So I'd love for you to consider, if you are waiting for the next perfect step to arrive, or to have 100% clarity that this is the next perfect step. And if you are waiting, like, how long have you been waiting? And, dig in, like, what are you afraid of? What do you fear will happen? What do you fear won't happen? And what is being stuck in the same spot costing you? How is it making you feel? How do you view yourself? What's your self-talk as a result of that? Because fuck me, there'll be some significant self-talk that won't be great here. So just know that it's really this path, this way of being, call it the spiritual path, whatever you want to call it, the journey, again, whatever you choose to call it, this whole next best step at the right time, in accordance and in congruency with your truth and your values. It is the way. It is the way. Very much against what logic wants to tell us, what our ego wants to tell us, what society might even want to tell us. But fuck, that leaves no space for magic. It really doesn't. It really doesn't leave space for magic. But the other route, it does.